Hello and welcome to VOX TV. My name is Erhayanmen, and on today's episode of Healthy Living, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic, one that is very peculiar in our time, and it's sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease is actually a disease that can be prevented, but I think so many persons do not know this. Hence, today we have a doctor in the house who will be doing justice to this topic. We have Dr. Omoruyi, Faith, in the house. Dr. Omoruyi, welcome.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
All right, so Dr. Faith, so many persons actually know about Sickle, that's the word they call it. I think that's sickle cell anemia now. So before we delve into sickle cell anemia, can you just quickly talk about blood group generally? Because we understand that there are people who have different types of blood group, and sickle cell disease is like a disease of the blood, right? Yeah. So can you just talk about generally blood group?
Okay, no problem. Okay, so there are so many types of blood groups, but generally what we use to separate persons, we use the main blood group and the rhesus factor.
Okay.
So we have blood groups A, B, AB, and O.
Okay.
Then for compatibility's sake, we have to add their rhesus factors. So whether it's negative, whether it's absent, or whether it's positive, whether it's present. So we have A negative, A positive, B negative, B positive, AB negative, AB positive, O negative, and O positive. And why we do this is to check the compatibility, so that in terms of transfusion, maybe someone needs blood. It's not everybody that can give blood to everybody. Although there are some persons that can give blood to everybody. If like you have the golden blood, the universal donor.
There's a blood called the golden blood.
Yes. Yes. So that is the O negative blood. That blood can give blood. That blood type can give blood to anybody. But funny enough, it can only receive blood from O negative too.
Wow.
So everyone needs to know their blood group. We don't pray for accidents. We don't pray for things that will bring us to the hospitals. But in case something brings you, it's best to know your blood group. But whether you know your blood group or next, we'll still do the test in the hospital.
But it is very, very, very important that people know their blood group and actually have it like an identity.
Yes.
Because some persons actually do not take this as anything that is important. As a matter of fact, there are some youths or young people who the only time they tend to know their blood group is when it is demanded. For instance, graduates who probably go for NYSC and they say, okay, it's a determinant for you to enter the camp and stuff. So I think it is very important people know their blood group. Thank you very much for that. You've talked about the various type of blood group now. All right. Can you talk about sickle cell now as a disease of the blood?
So people see sickle cell as just a disease of the blood, but we see sickle cell as a systemic disorder of the blood. The blood is like, it affects every part of the body. It takes nutrients from the brain, the heart, the kidneys, and all. So sickle cell as a multi-systemic disorder, it has affectations in different organs of the body. Sickle cell disorder generally is when there is a switch in one of the genetic molecules that help to form the blood. So normally the valine and adenine, I don't want to
go into really deep now, right?
Molecular things, but in basic term, it's like, okay, there is something that helps join the blood together. But in terms of genetic, that stuff is now substituted. So it's like what should join water with water is now joining water with oil. So from time to time, the body will try to compensate, but over time, it can't compensate. It now starts causing diseases and destruction in different organs of the body, in the brain, in the heart, in the kidney, in the liver. So that is generally what sickle cell disease is.
I quite agree with you, because when you talk about these different types of blood, some persons actually feel that, because they have blood, it is normal. The blood is flowing, it is okay, not knowing that some of these bloods can actually cause some disorders in us. All right, who can actually have this sickle cell disease?
Okay, so generally, persons that can have this sickle cell disease, like we say, is a homozygous is a autosomal recessive disease.
Okay.
What we mean by this is that when you have the disease, you and your partner has to have the trait and then transfer it to your child. So it majorly occurs when there is the S gene, when it's transferred. So the major types of the genotypes are AA, AS, and SS. Is that SS that is called sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease in general. So having S increases the tendency for you to have it. But for sickle cell traits, someone that is AS has the sickle cell traits, but someone that is SS has the sickle cell anemia. So in general, 25% of the population are ones that can have it. Anybody can have it as far as you have that SS in your genes, and it's practically more in places where malaria is very endemic.
So you're talking about like Africa now?
Yes, Africa, Asia, Indian, some parts of America too, although the statistics are generally reducing. Then also places that have low socio-economic status, it's very popular. So you could say 1 in 4 persons, you can just count the amount of, if you are just working on, just count 1 in 4 persons, you can almost say that this person has this person is that high. The statistics in Nigeria is 1 in 300 persons. In a way, this can be reduced because sickle cell disease is a very bad disease.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Still talking about who can have sickle cell disease. You've talked about how that it is possible for someone to have the traits, that's the S, and someone who has the disease. Someone who has the traits is someone who has an S in his genotype. So we have the AS, the AA, and the SS, for instance. So an SS person is the person who has the disease. So it is actually passed from parents to children. So it's a generational thing. So then there is this popular Nigerian musician that said, "Love is not enough," and that means that for me, I feel sickle cell disease can be prevented. So can you just really talk a little on how possible it will be for us to prevent it?
What we advise is that for persons that want to get married, or for persons that want to give birth to children, know your genotype. If someone that is AS knows that he is AS, and that quote will not come up, love is not enough, you will not say that you love her so much or you love him so much that because you are AS, he is AS, you want to give it a try and let's hope miracles happen. Like I say, 1 in 4. But now it's not a 1 in 4 if AS marries an AS. It's not a 50-50. It's not a 50-50. So to prevent sickle cell disease, it's very simple. AS should not marry AS or SS. SS should not marry AS. SS should not marry SS.
So if a male and a female have the traits, they should not in any way get married.
Advice not to get married. Although we know miracles happen, but we look at facts.
Okay, you said something when you were talking about how dangerous it is for someone to come down with sickle cell disease. Can you throw a light on the symptoms and signs of sickle cell disease?
Okay, so the signs and symptoms, they are, like I said, it's a multi-systemic disease. It affects the brain, it affects the kidneys, it affects the heart, it affects the skeletal system too. For children aged 0 to 2 years, they have special traits. You can have failure to thrive, although let's say what I can say is that this person, when you compare the sickle cell anemia patient to a normal healthy patient, you see someone that is 6 months old and does not even know how to sit. So the development that she or she should be attaining is not attaining it. Then you now compare the weight and the height, you see it's not developing as it should be. So you see a 2-year-old child that is supposed to be 12 kg is weighing something like 6 kg or 4 kg. That's what we call failure to thrive. Then they are prone to lots and lots of infections. They are prone to pain. There are different manifestations of sickle cell anemia. We call it the crisis. You've heard of it before, right?
Yes.
So there's the aplastic crisis, there's the sequestration crisis, there's the bone crisis. So depending on the organ that it affects. Now let's go to the organ that it affects. If it affects the brain, it causes a stroke. A stroke, whether 0 to 2 years or above, it could cause a stroke because the way the sickle cell acts, it clogs the vessels, prevents blood flow.
Wow.
So eventually, when blood does not reach an area of the brain, that area starts to die. If it affects the heart too, it can cause a myocardial infarction. You see persons that are just talking with you normally, and the next thing they are down. Wow, it's terrible. It could also affect the lungs. It will give you pneumonia. It could cause fluid to accumulate in your lungs. Wow. Then for the skeletal organs, it can cause avascular necrosis. It can just cause abnormal fractures. Like you just be breaking your bones. You don't know why. You could look at the mouth. You could see, you just be seeing sores. Like it affects the full organs. Then the liver now, it causes damage to the liver structure. For the spleen, sometimes it causes this. It can shrink the spleen. It can cause the spleen to enlarge. And there's a high population of people that are sicklers that have no spleen at all, and those ones are more prone to infections because this spleen helps release things that help fight against infection. It also affects the kidneys too.
Almost all the organs in the body are affected.
Which one is the main one? The eyes could cause blindness too. So it's a multi-systemic disorder. That's why we advise that please, prevention is better than cure.
Man, so talking about the advice, because we're coming close to the end of this episode, what advice would you, as pertains to managing it? It is very, I think from what you said, it is very, 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 very costly to manage.
And traumatic too.
And traumatic. I think I have some friends who are sicklers, and you can always want to feel that pain they feel. You want to relate, but I'm sure you cannot relate.
I believe you've lost someone to.
So what would you advise? What would you advise our viewers on this matter of sickle cell disease?
Okay, my advice would be one to religious bodies or everybody, because everybody in Nigeria almost has a religion.
Yeah.
When you want to marry, love is not enough.
It's not enough.
Know your genotype. So in the marriage counseling, or whether in mosques or whether in child relation, there should be a section where this blood testing is advocated. And when the leaders see that they are not compatible, please let that.
There should be no need to go ahead.
There should be no need to go ahead. But if you want to go ahead, there are cures. Yes, there are cures. There's the stem cell transplant that my chiefs in the are doing, and that's if you have money. But why go through that stress
and put children through trauma?
Yes, and sometimes what is going on now is that these new generations, they easily get mental disorders. So you can see the rate of suicide is actually increasing. So we preach prevention. We actually preach prevention.
Man, I think it's getting to me as I'm trying to reminisce and try to relate with what's going on here. And you work with the Sickle Cell Disease Center.
Yes.
And finally,
yes.
Can you relate with how painful and how traumatizing it can be to see these children go through those pains. You know, it's I don't know, but how would you rate it?
Okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, and 0 being so sad and 10 being happy, it's like almost a 1 for me. Anytime I see them come with a crisis, like I feel bad for them. Some form of anger comes up, but I know maybe love or something was the one that caused it. But we also know that there are some people that hide their genocide. So what we need to do is just to give our best as health care professionals. Just give your best. It's an emergency. Attend, whether they have money to provide or not. We try as much as possible to give our best and give them support as much as they need. That is what we just have to.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Omoruyi. That's all we can take today. And thank you so much for all you're doing at the Sickle Cell Disease Center here in Benin City. Thank you so much. May God continue to bless you. And thank you for your time as well. All right, people, that's all we can take on this episode of Healthy Living on VOX TV Naija. Please do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to also drop your comments on what you think sickle cell disease is, and if maybe you can relate with what we're talking about as far as sickle cell, you can also drop your comments. And don't forget to follow us on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time I come your way, my name still remains Michael Erhayanmen. Keep living healthy. Thank you. Bye-bye.